Greetings, unsettled souls, and welcome to The Correct Views. Sam I.B. DeGangi reporting for The Media Speaks. And yes, I know I don't have the high def yet. After the recording of the Passing Time show, it has been, it needs something happened to the plug. You're not here to see my pretty face. You are, in fact, here to hear the correct views. And I want to thank everyone for tuning in because you're trusting me with this Ebola stuff. And I will give you the very most up-to-the-minute news I have, and I will make sure it's the most factual content that I can possibly find on the internet. You will always get sources from me. Animal Club's Freedom typepad. This is breaking pretty much as I go on air. Ebola breaking. Another U.S. diagnosed Ebola patient, ? High probability number 3, University of Kansas Hospital. Now, this will likely be proven or disproven by the time many of you see it, except for my live viewers. It's currently 4:30 in the morning, 10/14/2014. Kansas City, Kansas. A patient with a high fever and other serious symptoms contacted and then entered the University of Kansas Hospital on Monday morning. At least he did it intelligently. The hospital says that the patient recently worked on a medical boat off the west coast of Africa and has a low to moderate risk of Ebola. Again, we don't fearmonger on this show. We report that it's a likelihood that it could be. According to a news release, the patient is being kept in strict isolation and tests are being done to determine the diagnosis. Dr. Lee Norman, the chief medical officer of the hospital, says that there are many other diseases that fit the patient's symptoms, but the hospital is following the guidelines from the Centers for Disease Control to determine whether the patient has Ebola or not. Well, that's a lot more than the Dallas hospital did. They blamed the nurse that has it. They blamed her for breach of protocol when the hospital wasn't even equipped, nor did it train people for what was coming in. It blamed her. And then later on, of course, they said, well, it was overall protocol, not that she broke protocol. The point is they've been passing the buck on this since day one. The hospital says that the patient recently worked on a medical boat off the west coast of Africa. Again, that's a real high-risk area for sure. It says he's being cared for by a team of health professionals who will not treat other patients until a diagnosis and treatment plans are completed. That is excellent news. They will not be spreading it around. This hospital, at least from what I can see, looks like it has its act together here. It says the hospital says that regardless of the diagnosis, the patient does not pose a health risk to other patients, staff, or visitors at the hospital. Do we know that that's true? Maybe not, but we can at least say this. We know for sure that they're trying to do as much as they can from what I'm seeing here. In addition to being in an area with its own ventilation system, all bleeding and waste is isolated from regular hospital material due to the guidelines of CDC and the state of Kansas. Again, the answer to this is not to bring the feds in. The government does a worse job of things, not a better job of things usually. But in instances like this, there's no reason that they can't give facts back and forth as long as, the facts are also getting to the average person, the average man, so that wise decisions can be made there as well. Again, they worked on a medical boat. We're talking about somebody here that might be a hero. Now I'm seeing it also on Fox 4 News. It's sad, friends. It is very, very sad to report on these things. We have a couple more Ebola stories. For those of you sick of the topic, just scan ahead a couple minutes when you see this, and it goes right into lots of other news. Washington's blog, Dallas nurse caught Ebola because CDC protocols are inadequate. Now, that's the way it should be worded. It's the CDC that dropped the ball. A nurse in Dallas has caught Ebola even though she was wearing full protective gear. There's a link for all of this. The Centers for Disease Control says she must have broken protocol. They've since, like I said, backpedaled from that. Or else she couldn't have caught it. Maybe she did, or maybe the CDC assumptions are overly optimistic. Let's remember, 85% of the nurses don't know how to handle Ebola, according to a recent survey. My dad was a nurse. I don't know if during the outbreak in the late 80s, if he was ever properly told how to handle it or not. It says the whole point of protocols for dealing with life and death situations is to keep backup systems, to have them, redundancy, and the margin of error in case something goes wrong. In other words, If a mistake could be fatal, you don't just hope that there's no human error or natural accident. You build safety systems in it so that if something goes wrong, no one dies. Well, we haven't seen this in the nuclear trade. That's why we're seeing so many problems. I'll be reporting on another day about how the California running nuke plants, even though there's new earthquake warning zones. There's signs all over the place. We do not have double redundancy. What we do is worry about the bottom line in this country. And if a whole lot of people get killed because of the bottom line, then it doesn't matter. It says, in other words, if a mistake can be fatal, you don't just hope there's no human error. That's so important. It says the CDC head Frieden said today, who Michael Savage is calling to be fired or arrested, I agree with both, that removal of protective clothing is one of the easiest ways to get exposed to Ebola if done incorrectly. It says that the two ways to do it is the spraying of bleach or other disinfectant or UV light on the healthcare workers' protective clothing before it is removed. Or do we have UV lights at all of our hospitals? Do we at least have that? It says a buddy system, where an infectious disease specialist helps the healthcare worker take off their protective clothing without exposing themselves in the process. Respirators. Want to get angry? Let's get angry. Even the CDC now admits that Ebola can be spread if the carrier coughs or sneezes into the face of a healthcare worker. Numerous scientists say that aerosol can be spread via aerosols created by vomit or the flushing of a toilet, not just being near it. As such, CDC protocols must require frontline healthcare workers treating Ebola patients to wear respirators. And they've been cutting down on this because they're saying it's too expensive. What is wrong with these people? Phone screening. Doctors should not have to guess whether patients have just come from Ebola hot zone countries like Liberia, Sierra Guinea. Recipients at doctors' offices and hospitals around the country must ask the patient on the phone before they come in, which it looks like the last hospital did, whether they recently traveled there. If the answer is yes, extra caution should be used to examine the patient, or they should be sent to special facilities, which are now, of course, where all the hotspot patients are going to go. Guys, we've got, let me see this here. We have one more story on Ebola. It needs to be said. Texas nurse fighting Ebola receives blood transfusion from doctor survivor Kent Brantley. Now, let me explain this. For those of you, it's listed on the internet under, here's the name, Ebola documentary. So don't say, it's about 45 minutes long. Don't say you forgot the name. There have been entire tribes of people saved by getting the blood, same blood type, HIV negative being important, getting the blood from a survivor. And this alone has created the antibodies in the other person to fight the disease. The CDC, the World Health Organization, they're very much against this. One, because it doesn't generate a lot of big money for pharma. But they use stupid reasons, such as, well, you can get HIV that way. Yes, you would want to test the blood before you gave the blood to somebody else. That's stupid. That's like saying you shouldn't donate blood because of HIV. They test for it. You'd obviously test here. It says the Texas nurse diagnosed with Ebola has received a blood transfusion from survivor Dr. Kent Brantley, reports claim. Again, in the poorest regions of Africa, this has worked to cure entire tribes. It is the third time Dr. Brantley has donated blood to Ebola victims after medics discovered he had the same type of blood as previous patient, Dr. Nick Sakra, the NBC cameraman Ashapko Mukbo, who is still being treated. Incredibly, nurse Nina Pham, she's a hero, 26, has also matched with Brantley and today received a transfusion of his blood in a move that doctors believe could save her life. Believe it's been done many times, and it should be pointed out that Dr. Brantley here tried to do this for Mr. Duncan, who unfortunately has died. And you've got Louis Farrakhan and that other moron Jesse Jackson out there claiming that this is a racial issue of some kind. Meanwhile, the white guy is out here trying to save everybody he can. He just gave his blood to Mrs. Pham, hardly the most American name you can find. The point is race has no part in this. Race is nothing to do with this. It will kill the racist as fast as it'll kill me. It'll kill the black man as fast as it'll kill me. It doesn't care. Fam has been in quarantine since Friday after catching the disease from patient zero, Thomas Eric Duncan, the man who brought the deadly virus to America, the man who lied to get into the country. She tried to save his life. Brantley is believed to have traveled to Texas Health Presbyterian Hospital, where Fam worked to make a donation on Sunday night. Her condition is described as clinically stable. Also, friends, can we please remember that while I'm not angry, I don't think the average listener here is mad that he lied to get into the country. Who knows what you would do when faced with that? We all like to think that we would be brave enough that we would not poison an entire nation over it, but who knows? The man was an idiot. May he rest in peace. I'm sorry for his family, but he came in contact with everybody. He came in contact with like 88 people, knowing that he was an Ebola risk. And again, the hospital sent him home. They didn't do any better. It says those who have survived Ebola have antibodies in their blood which can help new sufferers beat the disease. It's the way immune systems work. Dr. Kip Brantley has flown back to Liberia to the U.S. after contracting Ebola during his missionary work for Samaritan's Purse. And of course, it goes on in the article to say how he's giving his blood then to save others. And again, you're going to have people, I know I'm going to have people on my comment line telling me, well, the Bible says not to, give blood. Well, of course, if you're in a field 2,000 years ago, 5,000 years ago, growing corn and handling donkeys and not knowing what a germ is, no, you probably should not transfer blood. I think it was pretty relevant. Economic collapse, Michael Snyder, to move on to non-Ebola. Scam alert. Hospitals all over America are widely inflating medical bills. There's been reports of hospitals charging $30 for an aspirin, and it's not something that's rare. I'm going to go over some of these real quick. This is why I had wonderful health insurance before Obamacare. Now I have none. I can't find another health plan that I can afford now. Over the weekend, the New York Times reported on one case that is a perfect example of the outrageous medical billing. Before his 3-hour neck surgery for herniated discs in December, Peter Dreyer, 37, signed a pile of consent forms. The bank technology manager who had researched his insurance coverage, Mr. Dreyer, was prepared when the bills started arriving. $56,000 from Lenox Hill Hospital in Manhattan. Now, don't zone out. Listen to this. $4,300 for the anesthesiologist and even $133,000 for his orthopedist, who he knew would accept a fraction of that fee. He was blindsided, though, by a bill for $117,000 for an assistant surgeon, a Queens-based neurosurgeon, who Dr. Dreyer did not ever recall meeting. I thought I understood the risks, Mr. Dreyer, who lives in the New York City, said later, but this was just so wrong. I had no choice and no negotiating power. In other words, the other surgeon just shows up and you're charged for him. This is from Arizona, somebody treated for a scorpion sting. With the help of a friend, Marcy Edmonds called Poison Control Center and was advised to go to the nearest hospital that had scorpion antivenom, Chandler Regional Medical Center. At the hospital, an emergency room doctor told her about the antivenom called Antiscorp that could quickly relieve her symptoms. Edmonds said the physician never talked to her about the cost of the drug or alternatives. Now get ready. Her symptoms subsided, thankfully, after she received 2 doses of the drug Antiscorp through an IV, and she was discharged from the hospital in about 3 hours. Weeks later, she received a bill for $83,046 from Chandler Regional Medical Center. The hospital owned by, get this, Dignity Health, yeah, some dignity, charged her $39,652 for a dose. Well, man, what would undignified health have charged? Good Lord. It says, did they need to charge that much? No. Hospitals in Mexico only charge $100 per dose of Antiscorp. And anyone who has ever been to major surgery knows how outrageous the bills could be. This is an NBC reporter. This is about the neck surgery from a reporter now. So, again, I don't like Sam. He's an idiot. All right, fine. Once I got my itemized bill, he writes, the grand total was a little over $66,013.40. That was for a one-night stay at a 4-level vertebrae fusion surgery. The charges included $22 for one sleeping pill, $427 for one dissecting tool, and $32,000 for 4 titanium plates and 10 screws. I brought the bill, it says, to Todd Hill, a fee-based patient advocate who helps people decipher their medical bills. The screws in your procedure were billed at $605 a piece for a total of $6,050. We've seen those in the past research for $25 to $30, he said. In this case, the markup was tremendous. One more, Time Magazine reports. Stephen D. died at his home in Northern California the following November. He was a cancer patient. He had lived for an additional 11 months after his surgery. Alice had collected bills totaling $902,452. The family's first bill was for $348,000 and arrived when he got home from Seton Medical Center in Daly City, California. $18 each for 88 diabetic test strips that Amazon.com sells in boxes of 50 for $27.85. How's that legal? $24 each for 19 niacin pills that are sold in drugstores for about a nickel a piece. I know, I've taken them. There are also 4 boxes of sterile gauze pads, $77 each. None of that was considered for what was provided in return for the facility's charge of the intensive care unit, which they raped him for $13,225 a day. 12 days in the critical care unit, they charged him $73.15 a day. They also charged him almost $30,000 in CAT scans and $25,000 almost in lab work. So why is our medical system crumbling beneath us? It's been estimated that hospitals in the U.S. overcharge their patients to the tune of about $10 billion every year. Yeah, they love you so much. Medical bills are the #1 reason why Americans file bankruptcy. Yep, that was the case with me, 41%. Wasn't out buying big screen TVs, wasn't out slacking off, always had a job. That's what did it. According to a report published in the American Journal of Medicine, medical bills cause more than 60% of all personal bankruptcies in the U.S. That is also very true. Health insurance, most people who end up in bankruptcy, 75% had health insurance. It just charged so much of a deductible that they couldn't pay it anyway, which is where I'm going to be when I get insurance again. It says hospitals are not shy about sending debt collections after unpaid bills. No, because they're buzzards. Guys, another thing I want to get to real quick. We're going to get out of the medical talk for a second. Don't zone out. We've got a lot of stories of a lot of different natures coming up. New York City red light camera issues 1,551 tickets in just one day. That is how you steal from your citizenry, and that is why these things need to be made illegal. You can do this by standing up in blocks and insisting on it. City officials across the country, claim that red light cameras are for safety. Anytime you hear anything is for safety, you should be suspicious. Critics, though, claim that they are just another way for the city to raise money. Officials in New York City might find it hard to deny the critics after it was reported that one city red light camera resulted in over 1,500 tickets in one day this year. The Washington Compost revealed that one red light camera in Brooklyn netted the city a $77,550 windfall on January 7th of this year. You know how you fight back? All of them should refuse to pay it. And then the people that get the ticket the next day should refuse to pay it. And if you can get a third of the city to do it, a third of the working city to do it, you can't arrest all those people. There's not enough space on Rikers Island, and you cannot arrest a third of the drivers and still have your city work. In other words, screw you, we're not paying. That's how you beat it. You do it in large numbers. The camera at Ocean Parkway, a north-south street near Lincoln High School, is one of 23 such lights across the city and automatically punishes drivers with $50 tickets. The city claims, lies, that the red light cameras reduce dangers around the school where the cameras are placed. Well, good, then maybe they shouldn't issue tickets. Maybe they should just scan for safety, huh? Some studies suggest the red light cameras actually increase accidents. I guarantee it. That's been proven repeatedly. We've reported on it. People hitting their brakes to get out of it because they're worried it's going to go yellow and they can't stop in time and they get rear-ended. Friends, you're listening to The Correct Views. I've got 3 stories left, so do not go anywhere at all. Just give me 30 seconds to tell you about the wonderful people at the Seacrest Motel. How many of you listening to this like roller coasters? Great. I love them. And when I go to Cedar Point, which is frequently because we get passes after the Rougarou, though, I don't know, we need a place to stay. Where are you going to stay? Well, you can stay at the Breakers, a beautiful hotel. It costs you about $150, upwards to like $600 a night. Yeah, have fun. If you're on a budget, a little more realistic, you're going to want to stay at the Seacrest Motel. These people at the Seacrest, God bless Vicky, they're cheaper than like Super 8, all of those places. What you do is you go to the Seacrest Motel and you tell them that you heard about it on TCV, The Correct Views. Tell Vicky Sam sent you. Enjoy your comfortable bed, your wonderful tub, and enjoy all the money you save. It'll probably pay for all of your family's food the next day. Friends, this is ap.org. What is this sick bastard here? California teens arrested in 920 chicken deaths. When you first hear it, it's funny. Then when you actually look into the story, it's not funny anymore. Deputies have arrested 4 young men, 1 adult and 3 juveniles suspected of breaking into a Foster Farms chicken ranch and killing more than 900 birds with a golf club in California. Why am I reporting on this? What, you want more Ebola? Aren't you pressed enough? Second of all, these are the kinds of stories that make you realize that there are, in fact, reasons to be armed. Not dangerous, but armed. I'm not kidding. How long before, this 18-year-old would have gone to doing this to people? That's how serial killers are born. Look at a few documentaries if you think I'm lying. Fresno County Sheriff's officials, acting on several tips Wednesday, tracked down 18-year-old Gabriela Quintero, scum, of Riversdale, also taken into custody with 2 17-year-olds and a 15-year-old. So there were 4 of them here in their little murder sadistic spree. It says they've all been booked on charges of burglary and felony cruelty to animals. I agree. And there's no way they should be looking at less time for what they did than a felony. Fresno Sheriff's Department spokesman Christian Curtis said he cannot release information about what prompted the killing of the chickens. He didn't anticipate any more arrests and said that he did not know if the suspects had attorneys. What would your attorney say? Investigators say the suspects pulled back up to a fence on September 20th to break into a barn south of Fresno. It says once inside, they beat 920 chickens to death with a golf club and possibly another blood instrument, investigators said. Now, you can't blame this on gangster rap. I don't remember hearing any gangster rap songs about beating chickens with a golf club. Can't blame it on death metal. Never heard it. You can probably blame it on piss-poor parenting. I wonder if any of them had a father. A father that's there. Investigators say the suspect, or maybe that's why they did it. They were hatched and they were angry at their dad for being a flyaway dad. I don't know, but I'll say this. This is disgusting. It says, not all the chickens at the facility were killed, noting that the barns typically have several thousand chickens inside. He says Thursday that as a chicken producer certified by the American Humane Association, the company takes the incident seriously. In other words, this wasn't one of the people that keep them in pens in their whole lives and never let them move or breed. This was a really good growing place, it looks like, and this is what they got. Guys, 2 things to end with. There's 2 dumbdees right in a row here. This doesn't win the dumbdee of the day, but we got some Femi-nazi news. Hat tip rush. Kit Daniels, Prison Planet, feminists claim superhero t-shirts are sexist. Yeah, of course. Get angry at this because, if you get angry at things like ISIS, they're just going to cut your head off. So, I mean, it's easier to complain about nothing when you have absolutely no bravery at all, right? Feminists. Feminazis are offended by superhero t-shirts that they claim are sexist because the shirts promote traditional gender roles, highlighting how the feminist movement was corrupted by the establishment to advance an us versus them mentality between men and women. And it's true. The shirt says, training to be Batman's wife is receiving mass criticism from feminists who promote it as a chauvinistic message. Meanwhile, we have idiots like Jesse Jackson trying to make races hate each other over Ebola or the Ferguson shooting. You divide the country enough, and the women and the men are at each other's throats. T-shirts, and the blacks and the whites are at each other's throat about some police shooting after some thug robs a convenience store, and suddenly the government can do anything it wants to. They can set up checkpoints, and you'll drive right by in your pimping car, and when the cop asks you to go through your car, you don't know your rights. You just let him do it. Why? Because you were too busy hating the other color, whichever one it was. Here's more of it, brought to you by the wonderful feminists. The idea that you should settle for being married or to sleeping with someone awesome instead of being the awesome person is insulting, one blogger wrote. That just happens to be aimed at a young girl. A young girl with a sense of humor, I might add. I think the shirts are awesome. It says, who cares what it says about the feminists? They think everything's against them. Everything in the world, if it's got a penis on it, is against all women. There you go. It says, Christine Logel asked feminists on her Twitter to send photos of other sexist superhero shirts, like I only date heroes under the Superman logo. Well, wasn't that also the Supergirl logo? In any event, friends, this is the kinds of things that they worry about. The feminists are all caught up in that, and it's all part, again, they mention here, the CIA and others for a long time have wanted to exploit the gender roles. You can hear about all of it happening in the 1950s. Just go to the site, click on the link I gave you if you think I'm making it up. And friends, what could be dumber than that? What could bring us to the dumbdee of the day? We're going to finish the same way we started. PJ Dub, prisonplanet.com. Shock image shows unprotected workers cleaning up Ebola vomit in Dallas. Am I giving the dumbdee of the day award to these poor cleaners? If you don't care enough about the world that you live in to know that Ebola risk is in your backyard, then maybe you would get the dumbdee of the day. But no, I'm not that cruel. The dumbdee of the day goes to whoever told these people to do this. Who is their boss? The freaking Marquis de Sade. An image shot by the WFAA news chopper shows unprotected workers cleaning up the sidewalk outside an apartment block in Dallas where an Ebola victim, Thomas Eric Duncan, vomited before he was bundled into an ambulance. And there's pictures of them just, got their little sprayer out there mopping it up. One guy in a white shirt, one guy in a bluish black shirt. It looks like just oblivious. Somebody else walking by the parking lot. Hey, go out there and clean that up. I'm your boss, and I know what I'm doing. Go clean that up. I'm going to watch some basketball. The photograph shows a cleaning crew wearing no protective clothing or face masks whatsoever, as they appeared to be pressure washing the sidewalk in the general area where Duncan vomited. This makes Kesha look smart. His whole family was screaming. He got outside and he's throwing up all over the place, resident Masoud Azamovic told NBC News. The incident was witnessed 2 days after Duncan had already been turned away by the Texas Health Presbyterian Hospital. Who are these people's bosses? This is why they didn't get the dunce cap of the month. For those of you that don't know, every month I mail out dunce caps and certificates to people that earned it. I don't know who instructed these people to do it, or they would have won. The incident was witnessed, given the fact that Ebola spreads through contact of bodily fluids, we know this for sure, the lack of protective gear and the carefree way that the workers appear to be cleaning up the area where Duncan vomited is astounding. It's not astounding if you listen to the correct views, because we know that our nation is that stupid. That's why there's a dumbdee every day, and that's why there's the Dunce Cap of the Month award given every month. Friends, you're listening to The Correct Views. Sam I.B. DeGangi reporting for The Media Speaks, reminding you to check out the Arcadia Grill, where you're going to get some of the best food you've ever had. I highly recommend the ravioli. I also recommend getting a drink made there. They put alcohol in it. Remember when bars used to do that? They still do. Friends, thank you for listening. Good night. God bless. And whatever you do, please donate at thecorrectviews@hotmail.com, because every penny you give to me goes for a better show and goes towards things like buying new cables so I can get my HD camera back. God bless you guys. Thanks.